In what was one of the most unusual and successful ICOs in crypto history, EOS raised $1 billion in their year-long token sale. Now on its own blockchain, EOS is quietly gaining adoption for dApp creation among the development community. We weren't aware of just how many dApps were being built and used until we met Kurt Braget. He's a card-carrying member of the Republic of Bad Cryptopia. And today, we welcome Kurt to the show to discuss the EOS ecosystem, and we guarantee you're going to learn some cool stuff you did not know. Could EOS be the platform that topples the once great Ethereum? Let's explore today on episode number 241 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
Hey, this is Aaron Schneider at CryptoCPA.tax. You're listening to the Bad Crypto Podcast. Stay bad.
Welcome to the Bad Crypto Podcast, where we don't dab, we dAPP. I'm Joel Comm, and that over there, that guy dabbing, is Mr. Travis Wright.
Dab.
Yabba dabba do.
And we don't know, what is it? And we also whip and nay-nay.
No. I'm neither going to whip, nay, nor dab. I didn't even Macarena.
You don't even say it correctly, so that's good.
Macarena, but I did do the mashed potato.
You did? Hey, yes. Macarena. All right, good stuff. We have some interesting stuff. This episode right here is pretty cool. So this is actually, one of our good fans. I had a conversation with him, and then I found out that he was doing all this really cool stuff that neither Joel nor I had any idea was going on. And I think you guys are going to love this interview today with Kurt.
I want to talk about Divi. Divi is the crypto app that makes it easy to earn, transact, and store cryptos. It's the first crypto ecosystem powered by masternodes that can be installed with one click. And we can vouch for this. Ryan and our team installed our masternode with one click. Took 5 minutes to get it set up, and we are earning Divi tokens. It's not, the setup is super easy. There's a smart wallet that lets you store and transact your earned crypto with a simple interface, and it was created by the Divi project. These guys have a goal to reduce the friction of cryptocurrency through their user experience and their UI. You can learn more about it, and we recommend that you do at diviproject.org.
I think it's cool, man. It's like literally like the more you can just sit and watch it, and you just like you can see like every hour, boom, 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 you're just gaining cryptos. It's pretty. It can be a little addicting watching it. It's pretty cool.
It's more fun than watching paint dry.
Definitely more fun than that. Way more fun.
All right, and more fun than even that is our interview with Kurt Braget. We love getting email from you guys and hearing from you on social media. And every now and then, one of you reaches out to us, and it turns out you got some really cool stuff to say. And our guest today is one of those people. His name is Kurt Braget. His website is eosdividends.com. And as we were talking with Kurt offline, he knows some stuff about EOS, and we didn't know. And there's probably stuff you don't know. And today we're all going to learn together. So, Kurt, welcome to an actual episode of Bad Crypto.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I feel like I'm doing a duet with Britney Spears right now, man. You guys are like, I'm a total fanboy, so thank you.
Which one's Britney?
I would say that would be you. Joel.
What's Travis?
Travis is like, I don't know. He's somebody else. He's like
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, you're like JT.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, oops, I did it again. Yeah, Travis, didn't he reach out to you first?
Yeah, we were having some great conversations about just some different stuff that's going on in the space. And maybe, Kurt, talk about some of your previous development, history, because you built some pretty cool apps. You were part of the original Blockfolio team and some other stuff. So maybe give a little bit of your background on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I started in crypto probably in late 2011, 2012. The Drapers actually invested in one of my businesses and back in the day, I was a CTO. We were building kind of a micro payments solution for small videos. So think like a way of monetizing Vine videos. And from that, I learned about Coinbase. And just at first it was like, what is this weird anarchy money stuff? And just went down the rabbit hole from there. And since 2012, I've worked on probably a half a dozen to about a dozen pretty successful projects in the crypto space. Some of the more popular ones that I have worked on are Blockfolio, but some of them I don't really like to talk about too openly. But I started in Bitcoin, and then I kind of missed Ethereum, and I'm a little bit butthurt about that because the market kind of slowed down, sort of like it was now. And then, I got back into it after Ethereum started picking up, and then got really in deep on EOS. And now I've been focusing solely on EOS and development and building products on EOS that kind of fill little gaps here and there. And part of the reason why, I've always been a fan of the show, obviously, but I feel like it's a little bit skewed, towards Ethereum or some of these other projects. And I feel like there was kind of a missing piece here, which is, what's going on in EOS right now. I think it's really exciting, and that your viewership and would really appreciate to learn more about like upcoming EOS stuff, because that's where all the excitement is right now for me.
Hey, don't be butthurt, Kurt.
Don't be butthurt, and excuse me. I mean, so and you showed us some stuff offline that we weren't aware of, the development of just how far EOS has come in terms of adoption. I think, wasn't it about 6 months ago, Travis, that we talked about the number of dApps or dApps that were being produced on various blockchains? And we were like, there's just not that many that are happening yet, but it's like there's this culture of apps that have sprung up in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like it's really heating up right now, and the action is obviously on gambling dApps. So apparently 70% or so of all the revenues that are coming in are from gambling dApps on EOS, and also Tron is really picking up steam pretty fast. And so, this sort of like dApp and revenue kind of model that's coming up is really everything that was sort of promised to us at first, and now it's actually happening. So the way that I look at it is that gambling is just the start. If you think about it, it's a really base interaction that people are doing. Like, hey, I got some crypto. I want to, put it somewhere and see if it turns into more crypto, basically, right? It's a really base type of thing. They call it the 3G, right? Like girls, gambling, and games. And so our 3G network right now has like half bars. So we should expect to see like porn and other things come online. But I think what's really going to happen, and what I'm excited about, is that it's starting to spread into games. You have Mythical Games and some ex-Blizzard guys, and the EOS gaming kind of industry right now is really starting to take off. And we should expect it to be basically booming, I would say, within a year's time.
Yeah, it is interesting because Mr. Joel Kami just sort of referenced it. We looked at Blocktivity in the past, and we just sort of checking out all the different blockchains and, how active they are on blocktivity.info. And it's really interesting to see how full some of these blockchains are. Like, it looks to me like most of the time Ethereum is completely maxed out most of the time. I mean, it's sitting at over 100%. Like right now, it's sitting at 35,000 unconfirmed transactions. It's sitting at well over 100%. It's sitting at, about half of the amount of transactions that they had on their record of all time. And, it's sitting at an $11 billion market cap. Here's EOS. And then the last, 24 hours on EOS, there's been 38 million transactions on that. On Ethereum, 550,000. So, like, is that because is there all these little microtransactions happening on EOS? Why are there just so many more transactions happening? And are they bots? I mean, is it real? What's your thoughts on that?
So I do consider myself to be not that biased in this matter. Like I love all of these blockchains. I love crypto in general. But this gets controversial. I do believe there's a lot of spam. I don't know what it is. And we've been kind of speculating on how we can figure out to a certain degree of probability how much spam and just kind of fake transactions there are. And I think it's significant. It could be across all of these networks. I mean, it could be upwards of 20% or more. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a report that comes out where they audit one of these chains that has a lot of activity and even find that 60% or more is spam. And I truly don't know how much of it is. And I'm trying to kind of rally the troops to build a tool to kind of audit these things, because I think that eventually this fake activity is going to, get exposed for what it is. And you can kind of see some of it. Like you can run a demux setup and kind of watch transactions come in on the blockchain live. And you can see that a lot of them are little spam transactions like, hey, here's 0.001 of this coin and, come and check out our site. And here's a little like link into the site. There is a lot of that for sure. I just don't know to what degree.
By the way, the correct pronunciation is dApps. And it's kind of like email. So when we call it dApps, we're kind of disrespecting the name. So I think we should call it dApps. Actually, that actually makes a whole lot more sense. You pointed out.
I actually call it ML. It's not ML.
ML.
I thought it was ML.
You pointed out a site to us called DAppRadar.com.
Yep.
And this is a site that shows the rankings of the various dApps that are built and the protocol that they're built on. And they are ranked by the number of users in the last 24 hours, though you can also sort it by volume and TX IDs. And if you go to like right now, you look at the order of them in the top 10 are ES, ES, Tron, ES, ES, Tron, 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 ES, ES. And if you keep going down the list, you have to get all the way to number 41 before you find a dApp that is built on Ethereum, and that's IDEX, the decentralized exchange. So, and a lot of them are gambling, but there's some other stuff in here as well.
Yeah, it's pretty shameful. I feel like the Ethereum kind of tribe is sort of in denial right now, and they don't really fully understand what's going on. But from sort of an EOS frame and a Tron frame, it's like they're just getting crushed. Like people don't want to develop these kind of applications there. And I talk to a lot of developers. And their users are going through the roof. People are really excited to jump in and play these games. There is a lot of really legitimate action going on there. And I think that it's just going to get a whole lot worse for Ethereum before it gets better. And I actually really love Ethereum. It's just as a developer myself, I'm always going to be biased towards something. I mean, if Barbie blockchain came out tomorrow and it had more users, I might get excited about that too, because I don't really care. I just want this industry to sort of grow, and it's all about users and usability. And Ethereum, like there's a lot of these kind of neckbeard hackers that aren't really that connected with who's actually using the app. And so one of my friends, he has this pretty cool quote that said that Ethereum is basically a vending machine for coins, and that's kind of true, I think.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Wait a second. We need to tag that one. That one needs to be its own little image quote.
Right? Is it because Ethereum is just so slow? I mean, we saw what happened with CryptoKitties, that the kitty poop clogged up the entire Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, I think there's some fake news over there too. Like, that might not have been the most damning thing, but Ethereum has great technology. Obviously, Vitalik is a genius. All these guys are geniuses, but like not all of them understand marketing. And so that kind of goes into Tron, for example. These guys are geniuses at marketing, and there's a lot more to a product than, hey, you build some dope code. Like, what about how excited people get to use it? They're kind of missing a piece of the puzzle. And Tron is like all the way on the right side of the spectrum of marketing. They're like copying and pasting their and then marketing it in such an amazing way. And then kind of EOS, I feel like, sits in the middle of tech and marketing because they're doing a really good job on marketing and tech. But then Ethereum, to me, is on the other side of the spectrum where you have really great technology. Like they built the standard. If you really look at it, EOS is a highly derivative product from Ethereum. Even the logo looks the same,
It is interesting when you're looking at that dAPPradar website and you're going through, and it's basically auto sorting. When you come to the page, it's auto sorting by the amount of users that utilized any one of those dApps in the last 24 hours. And if you sort that by that, it looks like at the very top, PRA Candy Box, whatever that is, has 8,800 people use that DApp, right? So not a lot of money, I guess, over the last 7 days, $204,000 in transactions, but it just shows how many people are using those. But then again, there's no, self-cleaning sort of thing that tells us how many of those are likely to be bots, right?
Yeah, I think that this is going to become a really huge issue. And I have been posting about it recently where I'm kind of predicting that there's going to be a few billion-dollar companies that are created that just audit these chains. And you could argue that already there are some businesses that are doing this, like Masari and other people. But
Hackin.io over in the Ukraine does that as well.
Yeah, but it's like, they haven't had any real great reports saying like how much of, for example, let's audit PRA Candy Box and see how many transactions there are there. Nobody's really doing that right now. That's what we need. We need to figure out how valid all of this stuff really is. And but for me, like, let's look at EOS Nights, for example, which is the second one on that list. I frequently get people telling me that we should add it to our lists on our site. People that are excited about this is about crafting swords and these virtual goods. And, people are really excited about that. They're excited to be able to craft a sword or like, I'm not really into it, but
almost $2 million worth of transactions has happened in the last 7 days for that particular DApp. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
$2 million in 7 days, and they're building little swords in an environment that they're playing a game. Are they able to take that sword into other games, or is it only in this EOS Nights game?
I believe it's only in EOS Nights, but don't quote me on that. Like we got to look at Wax actually, because Wax, if you look on Blocktivity, they're kind of the ones that are handling that portion of it, where you can move your digital goods around and sell them. And that's one of the reasons why they have as many transactions as they do. They're trying to give people this sort of marketplace for digital goods. And that seems to be working for them. But EOS Nights, like what it really feeds into me or kind of points to is that we're moving towards this sort of Ready Player One type of future. I think that gambling is going to be a short-lived thing. I mean, I think it'll always be there, but I think that the gaming industry is where it's really going to take off. Like there's going to be dozens of these kind of EOS Nights games and then MMOs where people are kind of, killing each other and stealing their loot and crafting swords. And it's a job for them, basically. That's kind of the way I imagine it.
Interesting. You run this site called EOSdividends.com, and you pointed this out to us because it is tokens that you get paid 24 hours a day. You're earning dividends from tokens that you stake. And the number one listed on there right now is a site called BetDice. I think it's BetDice.one. Is that right? And since you pointed that out to me, I thought, I'm gonna go try this, not to gamble on it, but to see what happens when I stake this DICE token. Yep. And so I did. I bought some DICE token and I stake them, and every day I'm earning EOS.
Yeah, and this is kind of where you can go pretty far down the rabbit hole as well. I think that EOS has a really unique staking model, and the promise of crypto is that we've kind of democratized these assets. Like if somebody starts a business and I buy some of their token and I stake it, then they're going to pay me with their profits. And right now, the model is that a lot of these gambling sites are saying, look, 50% of all the profits that come in today, right, because they're paying out every 24 hours, we're going to send over to people who've bought our residual token, which is DICE in this case, and staked it on our network. So it's really kind of the first, like I haven't seen any other really compelling profit sharing models that are tokenized and, fully auditable. And this is the start of it. So I think that this is, it'll be social networks. So you see that there's another social network. Like most of them on the list on EOSdividends.com are gambling sites. But if you look, there's one called Karma, and Karma is a social network that's being used. And they actually do these things called power-ups, which pay. They're like dividends. and they are on secondary markets and you can sell them. So it's going to be social. It's like this whole promise of, if I like somebody's thing or I make a post in a social network and I get paid, it's becoming very real. And this whole like dividend thing is so interesting to me because at first when I heard it, it sounded like kind of like a scam. And some of it is a scam straight up because you have these gambling sites that essentially create what I believe they're doing. And I don't want to claim any specific one, but what I think they're doing is paying themselves. Like the house pays themselves to show that there's a lot of payout volume, and then other people kind of jump on. And you could even argue, and it would be kind of controversial, that if they didn't do that, they wouldn't go anywhere actually, because this is what people do with social networks. That's how Reddit started, for example.
So this karma, though, you won't find that in the App Store, right? You have to download that separately because Apple won't approve that.
So it is, I believe, right now on the Play Store, and it probably will be approved on the Apple App Store as well. So I think that the problem with Apple is kind of cracking down on some things. Like, for example, apps that where you try to sell an EOS account, they don't allow that. I don't know why, but they're really cracking down on it. But if you sort of have this residual token on your network, and it's sort of like a point system, no different from Quora or something, how they used to have a credit system, I'm pretty sure Apple will approve it. And then you can take these tokens and kind of move them on secondary markets. So, and people are getting excited about it. And they're actually doing it. And back to the token kind of dividend model is that I think that some version of this staking and payout model is what a lot of these businesses are going to be run on, not just gambling, but social networks or even Joe's Cafe down the street. Why not just have the 5 owners of that cafe take a certain percentage of those dividends and have them paid out automatically, programmatically, right?
Yeah, I actually want to discuss that because I think that some model of this, there's going to continually be evolution. We've gone from an ICO, now we've gone to the STO and the sort of, security back token. And it's like, we're kind of merging ownership in the company and then ownership in dividends and how they're dividing that. So maybe let's just kind of think about this. Let's say the Apple of the future. Because there's models here where you're staking some coins, and if you're staking coins, then now you're sort of getting profits and dividends because you've kind of you've come in and now you're participating in this ecosystem. Now, one thing I've always thought of is that I bought a Mac laptop in like 2002 that if I had actually taken that money and bought stock, I'd be a millionaire now. But instead, I bought their computer. Right now. How can we build because I think between all of this right here and the way that this is going with EOS and the staking, I think the future of business is being developed potentially.
Yeah. So we're calling it gameplay mining, and you won't find a lot of information about it, but basically the way I would describe this situation where you bought that Mac is you should have earned some points. You should have actually earned maybe some stock or something by buying that. Right. So it's sort of like airline miles. You do some meaningful activity in their network, which is buying an airplane ticket, and then some other residual reward comes out. So reward, right? But the thing that's so exciting about it over here on the EOS world is that reward, it's like you could stake your airline miles to earn on that airline's profits, right? Which is insane. So if you would have bought that computer, you should have gotten some Apple coins that you could have then staked or used or moved on a secondary market. And right now, at this point in time, you would have earned dividends for the last 8 years or whatever, 7 years since you bought that computer. And I think that that's the model that people are going to be going for. It's just that rewards sucks, and there's no way to really digitize those rewards or make them extensible in a way where you can move them to secondary markets. But that is what crypto is making possible. And I feel like people are really sleeping on this fact that you could actually build a lot of really interesting businesses. And as a user, are you going to go and buy a computer that doesn't give you any rewards or does give you rewards? Like, nobody wants to use a gambling site that isn't giving them tokens. And so when I go to gamble on BetDice, for example, which I don't like gambling actually, but if I did, every time I gamble, I'm gameplay mining. So when I gamble my EOS, they will give me a reward that's in their token, and then I can turn around and stake that. So this model could be applied to anything, social network, purchasing goods in a store. I think it's really going to blow up.
Interesting. Now, one of the problems I have with EOS is that it's clunky to use. I mean, it's already difficult to deal with, cryptos and exchanges and wallets and all that. But EOS is this extra level of clunk on top of it, being on its own chain. So, how do they fix that?
So it's moving so fast, man. Like a lot of people criticize.
There we go. It just moved fast.
Yeah, I pretty much, dude. Like I literally downloaded Scatter, right? Like, I was walking through Scatter, right? That version has already been updated, and they have so many things that are coming out. I would say within a 3 to 4 month period, Scatter will be a lot more user friendly. They have a lot of people backing them. They've now merged and are like collaborating with all the other wallets like Lynx, and shout out to Fred Krueger, who's like a major player in the industry, who's kind of pushing a lot of stuff forward right now. Like Mythical Games just released standard for NFTs. There's all kinds of stuff going on. There's a lot of action. And so it's kind of gross to use an app like Scatter, and it's hard to understand, but it's getting easier. Like if you look at a service like ORID and you go to Everypedia, which is one of the largest EOS based projects, right? Everypedia is kind of like, they call it kind of like the street version of Wikipedia, but they raised a lot of money from Galaxy, and they are on the EOS blockchain. And it's a one-click install to get a wallet and everything going, and it's done through ORID. So it feels like you're logging in with Facebook, but it creates all the wallets in the back end. So the stuff is already there. It's just not kind of distributed throughout the network yet. It's very
Here's what I don't understand. I'm looking at my Scatter right now, and I've got all these tokens in there that I have no idea how they got there.
You got spam.
Like I've got 21,000 karma, 21,046.989 karma.
Hey, maybe somebody at Karma's trying to get your attention, man.
So these are airdrops.
Airdrops, or maybe somebody targeted you, but generally they are airdrops or spam. If you find a bunch of residual tokens that don't really equal a lot, generally there will be a memo. So you might want to read your memos on a block explorer. It'll kind of reveal what their game is. How do I do that? So go to blocks.io, blocks.io, and then type in your wallet address there. And you should be able to search through your transaction history and see all of the, memos in detail there. And it'll show, usually it's like, hey, come check out our casino. But Karma's legit, though. They're a social network. So it might have just been.
So blocks.io is specifically an EOS blockchain reader.
Yep, that's right.
All right. I'm going to take a look here while Mr. Travis Wright asks you the next fabulous question.
Yeah, this is the world is moving at a very quick pace when it comes to the cryptos. I'm actually trying to pull up blocks.io as well. You were sharing with us a bunch of different really interesting sites that I thought that our users would want to know. We talked about dAppRadar.com. And then we chatted about Blocktivity, EOS dividends.com, which is yours. Blocks.io. Are there any other, just interesting sites that you use on a daily basis that maybe some of our crypto fans aren't familiar with?
Yeah, I suggest people to go to Block One's documentation to do some actual development and get involved, because this is our kind of period of build, right? So they have really great documentation, and to become a developer, the community is amazing. People are very supportive. I found my home in EOS a lot easier than it did in Ethereum. It just feels like if you're not a crypto hacker, like you kind of don't belong. But like there's a lot of beginners that are in EOS, so I would go there. There's this other great service called EOSNameService.io that allows you to buy really fun names on EOS. So you can buy like .x or .e. For example, game.vr. You can buy kind of a more custom wallet address. And that's a feature that I think really separates EOS apart, which is they have these account names that are part of the blockchain. And it makes it a lot easier. If you want to send money to, Travis Wright, you can, right? You don't have to use some archaic looking address.
What was the address? What was the URL you said?
EOSNameService.io. And that's built by Cypherglass, one of the BPs, and the BPs are really driving a lot of this stuff, like EOS Canada, Cypherglass, all of the BPs. They're doing a lot to benefit the community. They're always releasing tools. EOS Toolkit.io. There's so many tools that are on EOS that are just really, really helpful and fun.
This is fascinating. So I put in my my public key, which, by the way, for EOS, it's a really short set of alphanumerics. It's more like a username rather than a traditional public key. And I'm able to pull up and see all of these tokens that I have. For example, I have 11,923.884 Everipedia IQ tokens that it says are worth a total of $25.86. Now, why do I have that?
Somebody likes you. Well, I honestly think that these are the burdens of celebrity.
Are you sure? Was it from staking EOS by any chance? Because I staked some EOS in a simple EOS wallet for a few months.
It could be. I can ask them. I know all those guys there, like Mock Bode and those guys. They'll tell me. I don't think that they're giving out $25 of IQ to everybody. It might have been an airdrop. If your wallet is recent, I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to get your attention or something.
Once you'll come, get some cryptos for you.
How do I? So you said I could see if like there was a memo, because they're all the memos that I'm seeing are claim balance.
Well, I would look at the IQ transaction. So I'd sort on the IQ transaction and then look at the memos for that specific token, and whatever the memo says, I would trust it. Well, maybe I wouldn't. I don't trust anything online.
Don't trust it.
I mean, somebody had access to their contract to send it out. So generally, the memos, you can trust what they're saying there.
So confusing. Yeah. Okay.
It is. It's very confusing. It's really emergent. Like in 5 years or a few years, maybe EOS isn't the top blockchain anymore. Who knows? But it'll be a lot more user friendly. Nobody needs to read these transactions and things like this. Everybody knows it's kind of ridiculous, but you got to start somewhere. Like a lot of people were criticizing Block One that they didn't have a wallet, but they built this great technology and they can't build everything.
Well, I was going to ask this, where do you think the market is heading now? Because here we are firmly in the crypto winter. It's going to be negative 60 degrees in Chicago, next couple of days. We are firmly in the crypto winter. Mr. Joel Com soddled a little bit, a little soddle going on. So when are we going to hit crypto spring? I want to see some buds on the tree.
I have kind of a contrarian view. I really don't believe that anybody knows anything about prices, so I don't try to claim that I do. But if volumes and adoption are an indicator of price in any way, I'd say that there's a lot of action on Tron and EOS that should be reflected in prices. And sooner than later, I get surprised after you see all these reports coming out about EOS and how well it's doing. I'm surprised that the price is kind of, just kind of hovering around. But I don't speculate too much on prices. I don't even really care that much, to be totally honest.
I don't feel like news moves all that much right now. I think it's going to take a lot of momentum, news upon news upon news, in order for the crypto markets to really move. There's just too many people got burned, and there's just been no sign of a real recovery yet, and people are gun shy.
So another interesting thing I want to bring up, though, that might not be on a lot of people's radar is that EOS has this thing called referendums. If you go to blocks.io/vote/referendums, there are millions of people voting on different proposals that are going into the EOS core, right? So the users are actually in control of this blockchain more so than a lot of people will believe. So if you go and you check that out, you'll see how much activity. Like there's 20 million EOS right now staked against and 2% of all stakeholders on this referendum to decide where money goes, because they have these wallets and inflation. There's all these different dynamics of the tokenomic structure, and the users are really getting involved in it. And that's pretty unique. You don't see that in a lot of blockchains. And all this stuff is kind of happening in the background. People aren't really paying a lot of attention, but the EOS holders are.
When you vote, so like I'm looking at the simple EOS wallet right now, and there is a tab for vote, and I see there's EOS Huobi Pool, there's Start EOS, there's ZB EOS, there's EOS Fly to Mars, and it says I can vote on up to 30 different block producers. What does that mean?
Yeah, so these guys are processing transactions, and the users can vote them in, or they can stake their tokens, and this determines who is processing the transactions. So a lot of people have criticized EOS by saying, well, it's only got 21 block producers. That sucks. But actually, there are a lot. There are hundreds of block producers. It's just the top 21 that are processing most of the transactions are most trusted by the community and most voted. And they kind of swap them out, like they have standby producers. It's a pretty interesting system, but it's really you have to participate in this system. So when you see that voting for these BPs, you want to choose a BP that kind of represents what you believe in. Like I personally vote for Cypherglass because they're building really cool tools and they put out a lot of really great informational media. Actually, I suggest following them on YouTube if you want to, like, everything EOS is a really great show on YouTube about EOS. And then Cypherglass's channel is really great. You can pretty much get all the news about EOS right there from those two channels.
Pretty fascinating stuff, I would say. I mean, I actually think this type of content right here lends itself more to be a video, because I think we should maybe even recreate some of this as another piece of content and actually show people some of this stuff, because when you're talking about it, we know we've seen it because we're pulling it up and we're looking at it on our computer while we're going through it. But some people who are just trying to hear it, they're going, what is this whole new world you're talking about? I don't even understand. So where would you maybe lead people just to kind of get started? Was that the Block One kind of resource page? If you're a newbie, you're not a developer, but you want to know about EOS, where do you go to get started?
I think a really simple way to kind of get in the loop is to follow this Everything EOS show on YouTube, and just you can kind of get up to date with stuff there. And if you want to get into development, look at Block One's resources. They have really good resources for development.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate it, Kurt. Thanks for the info and for sharing your knowledge of dApps with us here on Bad Crypto.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Mr. Travis Wright, it's been a few weeks since we did this interview with Kurt, even though it's broadcasting now, and I have still been staking my dice on the BetDice.one platform. It's been 24 hours since I last claimed my EOS. I'm claiming 3.2576 EOS right now.
How many have you claimed so far, would you think? What do you think?
Boy, that is, you know what? There is a payout log, I think, somewhere on here. I would have to go through and calculate it all day to day, but I would guess somewhere around 50 EOS.
Nice. Just for staking your dice coins.
Staking my dice coins.
100 EOS, you've earned about $275 just in a couple of weeks, just staking your coins.
I believe that is correct. Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You could go buy a few stakes.
Staking the dice, of course, the value of the dice have fallen, but that's just crypto. Crypto goes up, crypto goes down, and that's just part of the game here.
Crypto does go up, crypto does go down. What'd you guys think of that interview with Kurt? He was dropping all kinds of knowledge on us, wasn't he, Mr. Joel Comm?
Yeah, and it's fun once you figure out EOS and are able to use, like, I use the simple EOS wallet on my PC and the Scatter app that connects directly to these EOS dApps. I've also connected it to Everpedia, which is super cool. And there's so many more. I think it's really an under appreciated application right now. And, between Ethereum and EOS and Tron, it's going to be really interesting to see which one comes out on top, or if there's a place for all of them.
Mm-hmm. Probably what'll happen is there'll be a new token out called Bad Coin that just blows them all away, probably.
How can a completely worthless coin blow away anybody?
Quit destroying my dreams, Mr. Joel Comm.
You actually have some other dreams, and we've been talking offline about another project, which will remain top secret for the time being. But what if we were to change the world?
We are a dreamer. And it reminds me of that the commercial by Steve Jobs and Apple. Think different.
It reminds me of Willy Wonka. He said some amazing things in the original Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder. He said, "We are the music makers. We are the dreamers of dreams.
The dreamers of
and
dreams.
We are." And you guys are out there in the Republic of Bad Cryptopia. Would love to hear from you. Give us a call. Why not? Pick up the phone. The Bad Crypto hotline is always there. And if you'll jingle us, it's at 708-885-9030. Call us up, even if it's just to say, hey, this is so-and-so listening from blah, 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 wherever that might be. Stay bad. We'd love to hear just that. We'd love to hear the sound of your voice. You get to listen to us all the time. We never get to listen to you.
Yeah, call in, even, give us something funny. Like, I'm Batman. I don't know if you're the real Batman or not, but I'm the real Batman, and I'm upset at Joel for acting like me a couple episodes ago.
All right, gang. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Shtabad.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.
Your home is important. That's why Geico helps make it easy to save on homeowners insurance. Because home is more than just a place. Home is where you have a cute little reading nook for those rainy days when you want to curl up with a good book, but you don't even read, so you just sit in there during thunderstorms and scroll through memes on your phone and laugh in the darkness. The Geico Insurance Agency could help protect the dark, meme-filled corner you call home. Call Geico and see how easy it is to switch and save on homeowners insurance.